We good? All right. All right. Good morning, everybody. Sorry to bring you out here on a wet day. I know some people got pretty soaked coming in. We're here today, and I'm here with Bucks County District Attorney Jen Shorn, Chester County District Attorney Chris Barrena-Sorobe, which, you know, call him DA with three names on thing, and Lieutenant Joshua Lacey, Criminal Investigations Section of Troop J. And we're here to talk to you about a real problem in our communities, and I want to begin with saying some thanks here. I am very, very blessed to work with wonderful colleagues and our DA's association. Yesterday, was with our Attorney General and Jack Stolzheimer from Delaware County. Today, get to be with the Bucks County District Attorney Jen Shorn and our Chester County DA, and these are just such great partners for us, and the working relationships that we all have and the collaboration is nonstop. And I said it yesterday, but one team. The other thanks that I want to get out here up front, there's a number of people that came in for jury duty, and they came in, and 23 of them were selected as grand jurors. And so when you think about jury duty, folks come in and maybe spend, a couple days, maybe spend a week with us on, a lengthier trial. These folks are spending 18 months, and they are working hard. They're coming in once a week. And what they did here and what we're going to present on was just yeoman's work in an area that really needed attention. And I can't say enough about their dedication, their input, and what we get to present on here today. So, normally when we're doing a press conference, we're talking about sharing some news related to arrest, or something that's in the public interest that we have to pay attention to, and so today it's the latter. So for the second time in my tenure as DA of Montgomery County, we have issued a report that has come out of our grand jury. I grabbed the last one that we had done, which was 2017, talking about the opioid epidemic. And I know everybody is very in tune with what is going on there. So today, we're talking about another real problem in our community, and a real problem because it's affecting too many children in our community. It's a call to action, a buyer beware warning regarding smoke shops in Montgomery County, Bucks County, Chester County, beyond, throughout Pennsylvania here. Current state of affairs regarding Pennsylvania's 2018 Farm Bill had an unintended consequence, which was the proliferation of smoke shops that pop up literally everywhere. And frankly, they're unregulated, they're unsafe, and they're selling illegal products without oversight and without concern for the health of Pennsylvanians, especially without regard for the health of our children. I'm sure it would shock you to know that unlike alcohol and tobacco, there are no state laws on restrictions on selling any of the products in these smoke shops to anyone of any age, meaning children have full access to all of the products in these smoke shops, as well as the same products in gas stations and convenience stores. Frankly, when we began looking at this and got into that shocked even me. And that was just one of the numerous facts that emerged during a 10-month grand jury report that came from it, and an investigation by these folks. Start on January 29th of 2025 and continued to yesterday when this was issued, and the grand jury judge signed off on it, allowing us to make it public. the grand jury in this case heard from a lot of different individuals, and that's outlined in the report. You know, I know it's long. I really ask you to spend some time and look into it. But we talked to physicians, we talked to psychiatrists, talked to toxicologists, we talked to smoke shop owners and their employees, and numerous narcotics enforcement officers and state police, you know, from Montgomery, Bucks, and Chester counties. So, you know, this is a all hands on deck report that came from them. So, the other thing I'll say in this, and I'll get into that. The detectives that investigated this and worked on this, you know, they know what drug dealers do. They know the landscape, and they found these smoke shops were using very similar lingo to what's being said out on the streets. You know, that it's the same lingo, the same packaging, the main marketing pitches of drug dealers. And what we found in a lot of them is they're selling straight up marijuana. You know, this is straight up marijuana that is being sold. Some thinly veiling the fact that their stores and others are using the fact that it's marijuana to sell more product here. So the grand jurors heard testimony by narcotics enforcement detectives regarding the undercover smoke shop purchases of multiple products from numerous stores. So this is prevalent in Chester County. This is prevalent in Bucks County. I'll give some numbers here in Montgomery County. You know, we bought from these stores. All right, you know, go in, make a purchase like every other person that's coming down the street could do, including children. And of those 144 products that we bought, primarily loose flower and THC vapes, we sent it to the laboratory. And we're not the first to do this, but National Medical Services and Pennsylvania State Police did the lab testing on this. And the results of it were astounding. When we went through this, the results, 93.75%. So 135 of the products that we bought in these shops were not, Farm Bill compliant or some of the other things that they're labeling on. They were straight out marijuana. Like these are being sold in these stores and under different labels and changing them and doing this. So these are products that were bought. Now, when we bought them, and 93.75% were marijuana above the THC levels of 5.0 or higher, and the legal limit on this is a 0.3%. So, of those five, I'm beating you to your question if anybody's doing math, of the remaining 9 products that were tested, 4 were found to be in the legal limit for Delta-9 THC, but were actually another product, Delta 8 THC, and 4 of the products in that contain no detectable levels of THC. So despite them saying that you're going to be getting under this 0.3 level, there was none in it. So of the products that were bought in this, when I say, unregulated and just out there, not selling what they are claiming they are selling here. So the results make it clear that these smoke shops are acting as our neighborhood marijuana dealers. And there's a lot of smoke shops. In Montgomery County alone, we have 240. 240. And that is seemingly in every corner. Pass by them, driving to work and driving home from work. And we did some math on that, and that translates to one of these smoke shops for every one of 3,662 residents. So one shop for every 2 square miles, right? That's a lot of smoke shops in our community here in Montgomery County, and I know, unfortunately, Chester County and Bucks County is dealing with the same thing. So the grand jurors also heard numerous child line reports by mandated reporters in which these cases were either school or hospital personnel were treated for drug hospitalizations in children due to their ingestion of THC through unregulated products. So these are outlined in the grand jury report, but there's a 14-year-old who consumed a crispy rice treat that purchased at a smoke shop herself, became panicked, exhibited signs of intoxication, began vomiting, to a 9-year-old child who ate his grandparents' THC-infused chocolate and started experiencing hallucinations and vomiting and had to be taken by ambulance to the hospital, to the 21-month-old toddler who ate his parents' THC gummies found in a drawer, became lethargic, unable to stand, quite ill. There are many more harrowing incidents recorded in the grand jury report which reinforce the testimony of experts that testified of the very different effects that THC have on children and how dangerous it can be when children get a hold of these products. So what do we do about it? The grand jury, in the great work that they did, took a look at the reality of these smoke shops and came up with 8 recommendations. And I'll go through them. All right, so number 1 was protecting children. And this is establishing age requirements of 21 to purchase THC products of all types. Requiring electronic scanning to safeguard children. Regulate how THC products can be marketed, prohibit the use of packaging, flavors, advertising strategies to target children or resemble snack foods. This is some of the product that is out there and that we found in these stores. Take a look at it. You know, if that's not being marketed to kids, I don't know what is. And you look at, you got Cheetos with marijuana leaves on it, and Nerds and other types of candies. Again, certainly targeted to kids in their marketing. So next that we go to the legislative action needed, and this is an urgent call on the legislature to fix the Farm Bill, to clearly state that products containing Delta 8 and 10 are subject to the same restrictions as marijuana itself. Establish regulations on dosage, which we heard a lot about from the experts, standardized serving size and potency along with comprehensive labeling of these products. And the report noted that most states limit the single serving of THC products to 10 milligrams and packages to 100 milligrams. Not happening in Pennsylvania right now. Requiring unmistakable markings on all THC edibles to differentiate them to help curb accidental consumption, implement robust warning labels on THC product packaging, providing clear guidance to the safe usage and dosage and serving size before one feels the onset of effects. So what's that mean? We heard from multiple people, somebody takes a gummy and doesn't have any impact from it right away. So they take another one, and then they get sick because the onset of this takes time. And so those are the issues that need to be given to our consumers so that they know what they're doing. Regulating smoke shops. Create a statewide licensing system, just as Pennsylvania requires licensing for sale of tobacco and alcohol, which would allow for regular oversight, limit the number of smoke shops within defined geographical areas, and establish a mechanism for holding store owners accountable. Require training for store owners and employees regarding product safety, legal responsibilities, age verification protocols. Routine inspections of them and enforcement conducted by regulatory agencies. Their next, 4, was ensuring product safety. and this is a big one. You know, when we talked about what we saw in the testing that came about, you know, there needs to be regular mandatory testing of THC levels and contaminants for all these products sold in smoke shops by accredited labs. What we saw was lab reports that are being held up that don't have anything to do with the product that they are selling. It's, you know, being doctored or calling the laboratory and saying, you know, hey, did you issue this report? Yeah, but it had nothing to do with that product. So this going on in our areas. So creating a centralized information system for retail oversight that includes a list of certified testing labs, the results of testing, and a list of violating distributors and their products. The next one, and this is part of, you know, our task here. You know, I know there's been attention on this, but grand jury did a report, and so, you know, I hope through all of you there will be some public education and awareness that comes from this, and we need a campaign about the risks of the unregulated THC products. So raising awareness about the health risks of marijuana, raising awareness about legal status and synthetic THC products in Pennsylvania, publicizing health risks associated with untesting, mislabeled products such as mental health effects, addiction potential, exposure to harmful substances such as lead and mold. Raising awareness about marketing tactics used to target our youth and importance, and educating the public about the difference between regulated medical marijuana and unregulated retail products. 6. Investigation and criminal penalties for distributors selling illegal marijuana, and that's on us. Direct enforcement of those distributors who are knowingly violating Pennsylvania law by illegally selling straight-up marijuana from smoke shops, gas stations, and convenience stores outside the boundaries of Pennsylvania law. Our enforcement must be consistent and visible throughout the state. And I will tell you, and I think this will be reiterated, people have been arrested, and more people will get arrested if they continue on this track. Pitfalls to avoid, 7. They recommend that we don't overtax the THC products, which could lead consumers to purchase from street dealers. We've seen this in a lot of other states where people are going to the black market to get their marijuana, even instead of the medical marijuana shops. Adequately funding law enforcement, and this is a big one, with dedicated resources to ensure public safety and the resources to enforce new laws. And 8th, legislation to help with civil liability laws that are out there, and holding the sellers accountable when somebody is harmed by a product and mislabeled, untested, or deceptively marketed. And look, we have some tools that we can use in this realm with consumer protection, and, you know, again, stay tuned. So those are the recommendations by the grand jury. They're comprehensive, and there's much more information in the report than I could outline for you here today, but a quick snapshot to give you a good summary of the ideas that the grand jury found to be necessary in order to protect the public and provide some much needed oversight to the current dangerousness surrounding the smoke shops. I want to turn it now over to my colleagues to talk about it from their perspective here. And again, I'm just so pleased to have the partners that I do. We all work very, very closely together, and there is not too many weeks that go by where we don't have several conversations or working on things together. So, Jen, why don't you go?
Thank you, DA Steele. The proliferation of these unregulated smoke shops present a clear public health and safety threat to our communities. And I can't thank DA Steele enough and the Montgomery County District Attorney Office's detectives and their prosecutors, and especially the grand jurors that served in Montgomery County. We need that type of collaboration to identify individuals who are clearly operating openly in dealing with illegal substances, like the owners and operators of these shops. And it would not happen without the work that the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office did in this endeavor. And it's such a privilege to be able to collaborate with our partners in Montgomery County and Chester County and within the state on initiatives like this, because together, not only are we stronger, but our reach goes much further. And so for that, I should say that criminals should be concerned. Anybody engaging in criminal activity should be concerned because of our collaboration and these initiatives that we join together. And also, again, I mean, could there be any more worthy cause protecting our children? All of us as parents know that we need explicit permission for a school nurse to give Tylenol to our children, but our children can go into these shops and literally purchase and ingest an illegal substance with grave consequences, and we have to do better. So I'm proud to work with DA Steele, with DA DeSoroba, sorry, Chris, and with all of our partners in this endeavor.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris DeBarena-Sorobe. Look, I share the pride to work with my fellow district attorneys on this issue, and I in particular want to thank Lieutenant Lacey and his team with the Pennsylvania State Police for their efforts in Chester County. We came together because we learned that teens were being hospitalized in Chester County based on these sort of substances being ingested out of smoke shops, convenience stores, gas stations in our area. And it was flagrant. Absolutely flagrant. And so when we came together and we thought about what to do, we started to target a small group of stores, and eventually it just started to grow. So last month we executed search warrants at 16 different stores in Chester County. We actually looped in three other stores from other counties as well as part of our investigation. We've made arrests. We've issued dozens of other search warrants. We've seized over $500,000 collectively from these various different smoke shops, either via cash or through bank account proceeds. And we're doing everything we can to stop it in its tracks right now. But this short-term success that we've cultivated is going to be worthless if we don't get the help that's been outlined in this grand jury report from the legislature. It's not sustainable for us to keep coming back and back and back to every smoke shop in all of our counties. But what our children need is barriers for them to go into stores and buy this. Our families absolutely deserve basic safeguards. Our children deserve it. And we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can. We're going to do it on the law enforcement side. I have all the faith in that. We've been working together on this project for months. But it's time for the legislature to step up too.
All right. So we're giving you a lot here, and I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. Grand jury report is posted to our website, so anyone in any of our counties can go to that, access it, read it for themselves. On the current state of the unregulated, unsafe, and illegal smoke shops in Pennsylvania. So in closing, I think I speak for all three of us as well as other DAs across the state. We need the Pennsylvania legislature to move forward. There's some pending legislation, and that's a start. But we need to help. We need help resolving these issues that are identified in the report. We need them to take action. We need a legislative fix of the Farm Bill, clarifying Delta 8 and Delta 10 are classified as marijuana under the law. We need legislation to establish a structure and mechanism for oversight of these smoke shops, including licensing requirements for stores, just like tobacco and alcohol. We need a law that establishes age requirements for purchase. There's a lot out there on the effects to children of these products, and that's why it should be 21. It's 21 for alcohol. Tobacco, that's the standard on this, and that's what needs to be done here. And we need real action require real timely testing and batch testing of this, so you know what you're getting, and you know what you're getting when you see those products that are out there. It's we go to the supermarket and there's ingredients of what we're getting, and there's amounts, and there's how much sugar there's going to be in a product. You need that on these substances to know what you are taking, to be smart of that, to make informed choices. And of course there's more, but the overarching message on this is one of urgency. Get it done now. Don't wait. Move forward quickly, deliberately on these strategies that cross all the political fault lines in order to regulate this industry. There are some responsible stores out there, let me say that, and some of them came forward and testified in this report. But unfortunately, the majority of what we looked at needed to have a spotlight and a harsh spotlight on them, and we hope that it'll make a difference in getting these dangerous and illegal substances off the shelves. So I'll open it up to questions at this point, and I'll start. I'll start here.
You mentioned arrests. Are you able to say how many arrests you made since the grand jury investigation began? And then,
I can't give you a specific aspect, and those are ongoing. Let me be very clear on this. People that are selling drugs out of their stores, marijuana out of their stores, that's illegal. That's a felony. And that can also be a corrupt organization because you're working out of a store and selling multiple things. That's a felony. So there are serious ramifications on these, and so we're looking at these. We're making sure that they had notice of it, and look, Inquirer put a spotlight on this and did some of their own testing. That put people on notice out there. This grand jury report puts notice to people on this. We've served search warrants on establishments, and they know what they're doing is illegal. You continue on this way, plan on getting arrested. That's how this is going to go, because it's no different from somebody out there, dealing drugs on the street. That's what we're dealing with here. So, look, stay tuned on that. There's more coming. And, I think, Chris outlined his numbers. I don't think ours aren't as high at this point, but again, stay tuned on this. Chris, do you want to talk to that too? Or?
I will say, the Pennsylvania State Police have made a number of arrests, but our goal has been, and we have actually achieved that at one point, we've arrested the owner of one of a family of stores in southern Chester County, right? And so our investigation led us to be able to do that. So this is not just about, and there certainly are, there's some store clerks that are all in and know exactly what they are selling, and they're talking to people as they come in and ask questions and know about that. But our collective goal has been not to arrest one clerk, but to shut down a store. And that's why we're firing on all cylinders to do that. And that's why I'm really thankful for the collaboration for the grand jury report today.
you were able to shut down that family of stores. You were able to arrest.
I mean, we have an owner who's in custody right now. So if he's running something from jail, I guess we will take a second look and see what we can do. I don't have the legal power to just put a lock on a store, but we certainly put a significant barrier to the operations there.
So what's the charge? Possession with intent to deliver controlled substances? Owner can be charged with that?
Delivery.
Drug delivery?
Yeah, it's delivery. It's all under 830. So if you possess it with the intent to deliver, meaning you have it in your possession and you're intending to sell it, or you actually deliver it. And deliveries have been made, to undercover troopers, to undercover detectives in our counties, and so people are getting arrested. And I think I'd say, and Carl, like, notice of this, like, you're on notice that you are selling an illegal substance. You know, all these products are coming back on this level. So, you know, so we need the buyers to be aware of that, but we also need the sellers to beware of what they're selling, and that they can't hide behind some fake lab report that they have that oh, we could sell it along those lines. We're telling you your product is bad, and we're going to keep buying. So if you sell it, we're going to test it. You're on notice. Plan on getting arrested.
Can you explain sort of the back end of that, the distribution to the stores?
Yeah.
Is there, and you said you're on notice, I get that, but is there sort of a defense of ignorance of, well, we bought it from this distributor and they said it was safe? Like, what's that look like from the back end?
Yeah, I think that's, and look, we have elements of crime that we have to meet. So, you know, we're putting people on notice of this, and, you know, and looking at this thing going forward. You know, look, we're looking into all angles of this, but today, you know, is really focused on, you know, the work by law enforcement, you know, Pennsylvania State Police, prosecutors, and detectives from each of our counties that have worked really hard to give the materials to the grand jury that they needed to produce a report that we hope and pray people will pay attention to, so that people know what's out there so they can make their own choices, but that the legislature can act on and do something here. Yes, sir.
Guys, one second. I agree that we're talking about notice colloquially to everyone. I just want to be perfectly clear, right? The circumstances of every case are very different. And so if you have a store clerk accepting money and putting it in a special place and only taking out certain products from an area behind the register, right? That's other evidence to show that they know what they're doing, right? And so all of these cases and all these stores operate differently, and we are looking at every single operation and how you operate. So there doesn't need, you know, you can't have willful blindness in our industry. If you operate a certain way, you can't hide behind a piece of paper that you know is fake. And those will be cases, and those things will be flushed out as we go through our investigation, as we go through the court process.
Can you talk about how the Farm Bill kind of muddied the water?
I will. I given that one. I'll come back to you next there.
Max Mayer from the Inquirer. Can
Yeah.
you speak more broadly to the proliferation of these stores and what is driving them to open in such density? I mean, surely all of these people don't have the same independent idea. Where are they getting the sort of, are they getting instruction and guidance in how to do this? And what did you uncover about the sort of revenue that is generated from like an average shop?
Well, I think, you know, Chris pointed out the seizures that they've made. You know, this is big business. These stores are making money. Why do you open a business? To make money. But what I want to say to that is that if you are continuing in business practices that are illegal or that are harming the public, you should be aware that there can be consequences that are going to come your way. And I think that's the point that we're trying to make with this. There's a proliferation. We outlined how many stores are in Montgomery County. You can't drive, you know, anywhere without seeing the signs of all these shops. And unfortunately, as the grand jury said, a lot of them are close to where kids are. And so kids are walking into these shops and buying things. Well, there's ramifications for that, and I hope the legislature will give us some more tools along those lines. I'll go back to, sir, you asked about the Farm Bill.
Yeah. So the Farm Bill keeps being pointed to, obviously, with the legalizing of hemp production.
Yeah.
How did that get to here, where it's like all of these? Because everybody's been seeing the smoke shops pop up everywhere. How did that get here?
Yeah, and I look at that and I said before, I think there are unintended consequences that have come from this, okay? You know, that this was looked at, I think originally to say, you know, hey, we're going to help out farmers that are going to produce hemp, but it's going to be this below this 0.3%, and then you can't sell it because otherwise it's marijuana. And people are hiding behind that and saying that this is Farm Bill compliant, on things. No, it's not. We sent it to a lab. It's not. It's marijuana. That's what you're selling. And some of these places are straight out doing it and know exactly what they're doing, and using these stores as fronts to deal drugs. And that's the bottom line. They're drug dealers, and so we have a responsibility to enforce the law, and that's what we're going to continue to do. It's illegal, to sell over 0.03. So, that's our task, but there are other mechanisms that are out there and that are outlined in this to make a difference in our communities to keep our kids safe. And I think, we keep coming back to that. That's what this is about. Keep our kids from getting in this and getting messed up. You have testimony from doctors that are seeing this with kids and the impact on them and the lifelong impact and how it's screwing up their lives. So, please, as a public, as a shop owner, as a legislature, please pay attention to that. Something needs to be done, and it's urgent. Yes, ma'am.
I know that your investigation mainly is looking at THC products, but these smoke shops also sell nitrous oxide called whippets in these canisters, highly addictive, targeting kids. Is that part of any of this as well, the other products these smoke shops sell?
Look, over the years, we've found in these shops, different people selling different things. Many years ago, we had a shop right around the corner from where we are that was selling, bags and inositol. And why were they selling that? Well, that was to help with the cut for their cocaine, and then bagging it up and selling it. Well, they got arrested and they got charged with a corrupt organization, and that went up to the Supreme Court, and that was upheld. So when I say a business and these business practices that are going on, there are significant ramifications. That is a felony of the first degree if you are convicted of a corrupt organization. So, we look at that and we look at those tools that are available to us, and that's things that we're going to be using in these business operations as it goes through.
Question for all three, including Mr. Dave Arenas-Arobi.
Thank you, Jim.
Do it. And the reality of politics is that district attorneys don't have the sway with the legislature that they've had in the past. I mean, Glock switches, the legislature won't pass a bill to ban Glock switches. So you're calling on the legislature to do something, but they've shown inaction. They've shown inaction to touch the Farm Bill, because in ways it's a third rail. What do you say? And you've touched on saying it's urgent, but if all three could weigh in on this, what do you say to legislators who are unwilling to act?
You guys want to go first, and then I'll.
I mean, on one hand, we need to have a seat on the table. On two, we're just as frustrated as everybody else is, right? I mean, we're here with a historic budget impasse that is affecting all of our counties, in every way possible, including our offices. So, I mean, all we can do is do what we should do best, which is to put out the information, to make our calls, to engage with them, and hope that they do the right thing. But yeah, there's dysfunction in Harrisburg on a grand scale, and we are all feeling this, just like some of our most vulnerable members of our community are. And it needs to stop. But we're going to put the information out, we're going to do our part, and that's all we can do.
Jim, I would say that we as district attorneys, 66 of the 67 counties work together, and I have the privilege of serving with DA Steele and DA Dave Arenas-Arobi on the Pennsylvania DAs Association Education and Training and Executive Institute. And the remarkable thing about that is it doesn't matter what county you're from, how big or small, it doesn't matter what party you are as district attorney. We serve together for one common goal, do the right thing for the right reasons. I'm confident that our strength as an association and our strength demonstrating to our legislators that it doesn't matter what your party is, everybody should be concerned about child welfare. And if that doesn't ring a bell, I don't know what will. So I'm pretty confident in our strength, just like the individuals engaging in criminal activity should fear our strength when we work together. I think the legislators should recognize our strength. And I think this was a huge step, the education piece, and I credit DA Steele for that, and of course, Chris for that. It really, this was the necessary big step, and I'm confident.
Jim, I'll just add on and say we're not giving up, right? And you saw that this was a 10-month investigation that was going on, and during that time, there's been attention by the press on this issue. There has been attention by legislators on it, and there's a bill that came out of Senate Judiciary, like that. That's encouraging. This isn't just our voice. This is a lot of different voices, and I hope and I'm confident that we're going to continue to shine a spotlight on this, and I hope that will lead the legislature to have what they need to pass legislation that helps in this realm, and that's all we can do. And again, I credit 23 members of a grand jury who listened to all this testimony and worked really hard to provide something, a roadmap that people can rely on, that is based upon facts and evidence and expert opinions. So, you have the medical aspect, you have all these aspects, and I hope that this can be, a bipartisan issue moving forward in the interest of children, in the interest of public safety. Like that's the goal here, and that's the hope. And I remain confident but cynical that people will do the right thing, and I hope they do.
A really quick question.
Yeah.
And you touched on it a bit, but is there a and I can say your name, but I can't say differentiation, in the infrastructure of the medical marijuana and what we've seen in other states with legalized marijuana and this? Are you separating the two, or is it all kind of one?
No, I think this is a different issue as to medical marijuana, but I think it probably hurts the medical marijuana industry, too. Like somebody's going to a doctor saying that they need this, where other people are just going to these shops and buying it. So it hurts that industry. So if you're focused on taxing and doing things along those lines and doing it the right way, well, this is a problem for that industry. So hopefully they'll be on board with us too to make sure that this is regulated in the right way, which goes back to the testing. And the batch testing that's done, and making sure you know what's in this product. Because right now, what you are buying off the shelf in 93% of the cases that we looked at is not what you think you're buying. And so, that's the call to action, and that's the call to urgent action on this.
And I'm sorry, that's what I meant with my question is when if you have a medical card and you buy something from a dispensary, can you have faith that what it says it is?
All right, we didn't go there.
So that's
yeah,
you're not saying that.
Yeah, no, this is a report, that is focused on, the shops that are doing this. We did not, go to there. So be clear on that. This is the smoke shops. This is the convenience stores. These are the gas stations. That's what was looked at and examined on this issue, and we remain focused on that. So I don't want any confusion on that. All right, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you coming out on a rainy day here and helping us to shed some light on a really important issue for our children and for public safety in our communities. Thank you.
Is there any way we can get the lights turned off and shoot some of the images?
I'll take care of that for you.
Thank you very much.
Kennedy,
Thank you, thank you.
How far back do you want? Just a picture?
I just need images. I don't need anything like that. Just like the products.
I think that was the first
Yeah,
one.
thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You want the other lights out too?
Nah, this works right here. It's okay with me.
We went back to them and asked them, told them what it wasn't.
It ain't easy.
You guys all good?
You guys want that one?
You have children. I'll get them.
But you said 94 cents, and then you named pretty much every product you tested. Was there a?
You guys all good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like you said, they're selling the product.
So, do you know what percentage that actually was what it said it was, or?
That was.
I'm
was it
gonna
all of
just
it?
a little longer on there.
Everything
I'll try to
you
get
bought was what it said?
isolate on more.
I was trying to do the math. Yeah, yeah. I have my card. It's my drug of choice. I don't drink. And I'm 100% in favor of legalization. Like, it's so passive. And I like Laughlin's bill, the oversight, the THC, like LCB. So. Yeah. I was going to confront that.
That's the last one.
Was that the last one?
I don't know. Let's see. I think so. Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. I'm here to help.